The mystery machine drives to the middle of nowhere. A crooked, dead tree lies on the side of the road. As our heroes drive through miles of abandoned fields. What caused this desolation? Let's find out. Welcome to Mysteries in the Machine.
I'm Charlie.
And I'm Ethan.
And, oh my goodness, the back of the mystery machine is opening up. There are 2 people joining us here today. Who could it be? Who is it? Introduce yourselves. Fair people.
I tend to just let Tim talk first. It always ends up
I was going to have you do it since it's the only one that can see right now.
Well coordinated as always over here. Hi, I'm AJ, and with me is Tim. We are the co-hosts of a little theme park podcast called Standby Line.
Hey, everybody. Thank you guys so much for having us on.
Yeah, of course. I love you guys' pod. Although, there's only so much Scooby-Doo that's at theme parks. So,
I know, it's a very limited Venn diagram.
Which you think wouldn't be the case.
Right? Didn't Universal have something Scooby-Doo related in there for a while?
I'm sure they did, but
I think it's just the meet and greet, honestly.
Yeah, they still have the meet and greets. At least they did as of last year.
I love the meet and greets.
I think they may have had something a little more interactive at one point in time. But for the most part, as far as I'm aware, it's Six Flags who has the Warner Brothers license.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Which, finicky rights issues.
Yeah. So there are... Oh, that's Australia. Never mind. That's...
Australia's a free-for-all.
Doesn't really do much for our purposes.
Every IP's got something at a theme park in Australia. Only a third of them are legal.
Yeah.
Time to go to Australia then.
Yeah. Well, there may be only one that's still active. Is it the Boo Blasters? Is that what you're talking about, AJ?
Yeah. That sounds
okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you think they'd be peak for a good spooky ride.
You would think.
They gave Garfield a dark ride, and they somehow haven't given Scooby-Doo one.
Excuse me?
Hold on. Wait a minute.
Okay. When this is done, I'll send you the Defunctland episode on that because it is a trip.
Yeah, you just have to watch the Defunctland episode. I don't think we can unpack all that.
Okay.
Especially since I'm not entirely sure what the rating on this podcast is.
It's explicit. You're good.
Oh, okay.
We swear we do adult themes occasionally.
Yeah, there's a whole questionnaire about the end where the net result is finding out a lot of people lost their virginity on that dark ride.
What the fuck?
The Garfield.
I guess I can't be that surprised.
Of course. Oh, of course.
Listen, the first time I grabbed a tit was in a movie theater. It's fine.
Were you watching the Garfield movie, though?
No! It was The Incredibles 2!
Oh, my friend has a horror story of cleaning up after the Last Airbender, the live-action movie, cleaning the theater and finding a used condom.
Jesus H. Christ, of all the one... Well, honestly,
yeah, that'll get you in the mood.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad in the grand scheme
why?
of things.
Why?
Okay, listen. That movie, it practically doesn't exist. It's just an hour and a half of complete silence and darkness.
In Ba Sing Se. I don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're talking about Scooby-Doo.
Yes,
That's
we are.
what we're here for today, I think. Possibly.
Well, no, now I want to talk about the logic that goes into having sex at the Last Airbender.
Well, I guess your only other option is watch the movie.
I think they were just too bored of the movie.
You really've got nothing better to do for that hour and a half.
The answer is they paid for the movie. They're like, what else are we gonna do here? Not watch it.
We're bored. We're horny. Let's do it.
Go off, I guess. Anyway, Tim, AJ, we're so glad to have you. Can you guys, well, you've already talked about your podcast. You want to introduce yourself with, like, your Scooby-Doo history and your pronouns, of course.
Oh, okay. I'm he, him, and I'd say my story is not dissimilar to a lot of modern 30-something Scooby-Doo fans. I grew up, watching the reruns of Cartoon Network, and then when they started doing the movies in the late 90s, which is Ghost, Zombie Island, that's when it kind of kickstarted for me, and started seeing other stuff after that.
I was born right around the time that What's New Scooby-Doo was coming out. I am young. I acknowledge this. I use they, them, and he, him pronouns interchangeably, so I don't really care what you use. But yeah, I grew up right in that time period where What's New Scooby-Doo was coming out, and my mom loved Scooby-Doo because she grew up right around as the original series, not ending, but as it was starting to hit its stride in syndication. My dad grew up as the original series was ending, so both of my parents were like, oh yeah, this is the thing from our childhoods. So I grew up with every Scooby-Doo DVD under the sun, just all of them. So 90% of what I would watch as a kid was Scooby-Doo DVDs.
Very good.
There was a point in my life where I had the script of Scooby Meets Batman, like, burned into my memory, because I watched it at least twice a day.
Practically every trip to Blockbuster was come back with a Scooby-Doo special.
Yeah.
I love that.
And Scooby Meets Batman, is that like the 2 episodes from this series?
I believe so, yes.
Because I want to say that should be the Dynamic Scooby-Doo Affair and, like, Cape Crusader Caper just packaged into
Yeah, I'm
DVD.
99% sure the DVD is just those two packaged together.
Okay.
Yeah, very iconic episodes. We already covered the first one of them with our buddy Josh.
Yep, and he's coming back for the next one too. So,
like, before we even started this series, he was just like, I'd like to do Batman, please. Please. Please.
He's also a gigantic Batman nerd, so...
Yeah. We're like, okay.
Yeah, when you reached out to us about coming on, that was like, oh, immediately that was the first one I wanted to do. And you're like, oh, this one's already taken. Okay, how about the Addams Family? Oh, Darian already has that one. I'm like, what isn't taken?
Darian and I on the Addams Family episode would have been a hell of a team up.
It was already chaotic enough with Darian. I can only imagine what
was.
another person would have done.
Yeah, Darian does tend to have that effect on podcasts.
I was going to ask, like, what made you choose this, but it looks like you didn't really have much of a choice at all, so...
Well, I wouldn't say we had no choice, and I was big into Three Stooges as a kid, and so with them coming... Because I think that they did a couple specials. This wasn't the only one that they were on.
Yes, they also did the first episode of this series.
Yeah, Ghastly Ghost Town, which Ethan and I were not the biggest fans of.
No, this was leagues better than that, at least in terms of shenanigans.
Yeah, we covered that one with Robert. You know Robert. Yeah, just this one's just way funnier. I think it's a better vibe. It knows what
agree.
it's doing.
At least this one has some sort of coherency.
It has a plot.
Yes.
Yeah, things
This one has
actually
a plot.
happen.
I mean, as much as there's so many shenanigans, which we're gonna get into,
The shenanigans abound here.
Oh, do they?
Like, Charlie, we may have a new first place when this is over. I don't know.
It could happen. It could happen. So what we do is we're gonna talk about the episode, but every time a shenanigan happens, we put it on the counter and we see if it's gonna go up against our other ones.
The number to beat is 29, and that was by the previous episode.
That is a pretty high number.
And who's in that one?
Laurel and Hardy.
Oh, that is quite a lot of shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Tim sent me the screenshot of the episode we were talking about, it was Laurel and Hardy on one side, the Three Stooges, and then the Harlem Globetrotters. And I went, oh, cool, the Harlem Globetrotters. And he went, no, not that one. And I went, oh, cool, Laurel and Hardy. And he went, no, not that one. And I went, oh, okay, the Three Stooges. I can work with this.
Yeah.
I don't know if we touched on this when we recorded with Robert. My grandpa has a Three Stooges cardboard cutout in his office.
Why?
Because he just likes them.
Fair.
Okay.
I mean, sure.
Yeah, fair enough.
So my grandpa used to go to a lot of like conferences, and every lanyard that he got at every conference he went to is around Moe's neck, because it's all three of them together.
That's iconic, honestly. I have them all sitting up from one end of my my curtain rod.
There you go.
It's not good for my curtain rod. It's been drooping to one side for like 6 years now.
It's fine.
Alright, y'all, let's get into this episode. As Ethan already introduced for us, the land is desolate. It's not looking great. We're, roaming as we often do. I don't think we're necessarily lost in this episode.
No.
But we're kind of aimlessly wandering.
Yeah, we don't know where we're going. Not in the lost way, just like, I guess, driving aimlessly. So, Tim, AJ, I'm from Kansas.
Mhm.
So this is very familiar territory for me.
Is this your backyard, Ethan?
This is my grandma and grandpa's backyard.
I believe they're doxing you in the middle of new Scooby-Doo movies. That's crazy.
I know, that's crazy.
Wow, I can't believe the ghost of the Red Baron attacked your grandparents'
I know,
house.
it's rude.
Which side of the locked cave did you live in?
That's
Oh, my
great.
goodness. So yeah, all of a sudden they come up on like so much juicy corn. We're like, what's happening here? What's going on with this? And there is a dogfight going on in
Yeah.
the sky.
Well, dogfight, just two planes more so playing chicken.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because there's no
Sure.
no gunfire happening.
yeah, this is true. There isn't any gunfire. Which is that what the Red Baron did? Did he just like fly
Yeah.
planes and shoot people? Okay.
Yeah, he
yeah,
did.
yeah. That's pretty much what being a World War I ace was. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, no guns in Scooby-Doo, I guess.
Not
Except in the intro, there was they had guns in that.
Yeah, that's. Listen,
Yep.
that was a robot. He's the only guy who's allowed to have a gun because it's a pop gun. It's not real.
Yeah, it's
It's
not a gun. It's
fine.
just a pop gun that looks like a laser gun. It's fine. It's fine.
It's
It's
fine.
fine.
Everything's good.
Please don't
Whatever.
censor us, TV lawyers.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty much how it goes. So all these two planes are playing chicken. The, I guess, Red Baron, quote unquote, which is identified by Fred. And this is how we know Fred is straight, because he knows World War I aircraft.
Right?
Or it
Like,
leads
why?
into the theory that he's autistic.
Mm,
One of those
One
two
of those
things.
two things.
It can't be. It has to be one of them. Take your pick, which you'd rather believe.
I'd rather
Okay.
believe he's autistic. I don't think that man is straight.
2000s Fred is autistic. 70s Fred is straight.
There we
Yeah,
go.
I think that's fair. There's no way Mystery Inc. Fred is straight. He's just not.
Oh,
No.
No, there's no way.
No, that's a nerd.
Maybe Ace, but definitely not straight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he identifies this red plane as like, that's just like the one the Red Baron had. Like back in World War One. As if normal people know this information. Thank you.
Like, yes, it is clear skies, but also it's basically the middle of the night and he just sees a plane flying way overhead and goes, oh yeah, Fokker 7, that's the Red Baron's plane.
Normal.
These cartoons
Fred,
also
you're
have
driving.
they also have a bad problem with lighting, so we never know what
Yeah.
time of day it is.
That's
Like
true.
Yeah.
we have dark lighting when it's supposed to be the middle of the day.
Like
Bright lights at night.
the way they have it lit here, it looks overcast. So like
Yeah.
That's fair.
I don't
That's
really
fair.
know.
Are you supposed to fly a plane when it's overcast like this? I actually don't know
I mean,
anything.
for crop dusting
Yeah, for crop
purposes, it's
dusting.
fine.
Because you're
'Cause,
generally
like, you have to
flying
get
below
pretty
200.
low over the crops to make sure the
True.
fertilizer gets to them.
Yeah, low altitude stuff, it usually doesn't matter weather-wise. Otherwise, it depends on the make of the plane and how far you're going.
Hmm.
Like, some planes aren't meant to fly in overcast conditions at all, but some planes can fly in anything short of a hurricane. They shouldn't, but they can.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So, also, I think Scooby-Doo introduced me to crop dusters as a concept. I don't think I knew about that before this.
Well, you're not from the Midwest.
No, I'm not. I just live here now.
You do live here now, but you did not grow up here.
No.
My brother is a massive aviation nerd, and he was coming into that point in time where he got to pick what he watched right around the time the movie Planes was coming out, which is how I learned they were a
Oh.
thing.
Oh no.
I have not thought about that movie in at least a decade.
I try not to, but every once in a while it just pops in there.
I think about the fact that the spin-off of Cars is not a Pixar movie. And that's all I think about.
Yeah, it's
That is
Disney
weird,
animation.
What?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not Pixar,
What?
it's Disney animation.
That's fucking
Pixar
wild.
wouldn't
Okay.
put their brand on that. No,
Look,
sir.
we made Cars 2, but we just can't
They've made 4, almost 5 Toy Stories. You don't think they can put their name on planes?
Apparently
No.
not.
It was beneath them, which is ironic.
Everything is beneath planes, Charlie.
But I'm saying the planes were beneath them.
Apparently.
There you go. All right, so the scenario ends with our first crash of the episode. I feel like this should be a separate counter for how many times a vehicle crashes
Yeah, are we counting the crash as
That's
shenanigans or not? Because I don't think we should.
No,
I
I
don't
feel like
really
a separate
know.
counter would be the fair option there.
Yeah, I think that would skew the count if you counted crashes.
It would.
Because crashes happen more often than not on account of shenanigans, but they in themselves are
True.
not shenanigans.
True.
Exactly.
But they crash because Fred drives through the corn to avoid being, I guess, hit by the Red Baron?
Yeah, the Red Baron is flying dangerously low near this car, so I guess the Mystery Machine has to join in and play chicken too, drive through the corn, wreck its tires, while also the crop duster, the purple plane, has also driven through the corn and crashed. So
Yeah, there's a lot of ruined corn.
this
Which
poor man.
ultimately kind of counterproductive for the Red Baron.
Yeah, in terms of, well, the end goal.
I guess you could call it some real cornage.
Jesus H. Christ on a bike. Why didn't I think of that?
I'm not with him.
Yeah, Tim and I are meeting up in a couple of weeks, and I just know the first thing he's going to do after that one is boom, smack me right across the face.
Charlie makes more bad puns of the two of us, but
It's usually my job.
sure.
I try not to for Tim's sake, because I know how they torment him so. But every once in a while, one pops in there, and I'm like, nope, this one's happening.
Well, we can make plenty of corn jokes.
There are so many. Though I do fear it'll get a little corny.
Just a little bit. Well,
AJ, you're really giving me an earful with these corn puns.
Tim's gonna hate us all by the end of this.
if Tim doesn't like it, he could just say "shuck you."
You are so lucky you can't see me right now.
Tim's got steam coming out of his ears. His face is like bright red.
He's become the cartoon character. Actually,
Yes. So the pilot that crashed this plane is like, "Fuck you, Mr. Farmer, I quit."
Yeah, this poor farmer man, like, so many bushels of his corn have been destroyed by this, and he's lost a pilot to fertilize his corn. What the heck?
His sixth in a month apparently.
That's
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, and
And-
you also have to question what the hell the pilots are doing. If it's like, okay, well, this one guy showed up this one time, and I have no explanation for this, so I will simply quit the job. Don't you think the first question when you touch down should be like, hey, who the hell was that Red Baron guy?
Yeah, I'm led to believe that the Red Baron's been intimidating them for at least a month, and that's why he's gone through so many.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what happens, like, the rest of the episode with the Red Baron, like,
Yeah.
harassing the gang. But who should come on the scene right as soon as this guy quits? Like a Deus Ex Machina, the Three Stooges.
Yeah, because the lawyer guy says nobody's stupid enough to apply. Lo and behold, the three stupidest people you've ever met.
The
Clearly.
three stupidest people you've ever met so far.
True. Laurel and Hardy are pretty up there too. At least Laurel.
I have arguments that Laurel is not stupid. He's just not. He just doesn't follow through. He has good ideas. He has bad follow through.
You can believe that, Charlie.
I will believe it forever. I love that man. But Curly Joe is, like, clearly ready to be a pilot. He's got the aviator jacket. He's got the helmet and goggles. He's ready. And he's
And
got
I
his
guess,
Flip Falcon comic book.
yeah, because that's exactly how you should be learning to fly a plane.
And like when I was first watching this, I assumed that was just a one-off gag to show how unprepared he is for what he's actually doing. No, that's actually a major plot point.
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
wasn't expecting it to be so integral to the plot.
I wasn't either. I was not prepared for that.
I'm so glad that y'all were not prepared for the comic books to be the secret to flying.
Okay,
You thought you'd actually just fly a plane?
you never know. Meanwhile,
Uh,
they haven't even cleaned out the plane. There's still corn all over it. So, like,
There is.
great job, guys.
I also would like to add our first shenanigan to the counter of their car immediately breaking down as soon as they get
Oh,
there
yeah.
for no
Yeah.
apparent reason.
Yeah,
One of the
which
tires
also
is
happened to
job,
Laurel
but
and
there's no
Hardy.
reason the van should break down.
Yeah, why not?
So Curly gets the plane. He's like, "Where's the plane? You're in it. You're in it." So we're really in it today. He has no clue what the fuck he's doing. He's eating the corn that's in the plane, and Scooby is like, "Corn? Bro,
Yeah,
there's
because
corn
Scooby
all
and
around
Shaggy
you.
have not stopped talking about corn the whole time. And somehow, every time it comes up, despite being in a cornfield, they are just magnetized to it in true Scooby and Shaggy fashion.
There's
Okay,
corn right over there.
so before we go any further, I
Right.
just want to bring this up because this is a recurring thing throughout the special. I don't know if this is just 70s slang that I'm unfamiliar with, or if it's a term used in crop dusting, but they keep referring to the planes as crates, and no one even thinks to question it. So maybe I'm just one out of the loop here.
I'm not familiar. Okay.
It might just mean it carries things or something. I don't know. Like,
I think that's just a 70s thing, looks like, because most of the other things I'm seeing is just referring to them as crop dusters.
Yeah, and what I'm looking at right now says that it's essentially just outdated slang for talking about like outdated vehicles,
Yeah, that's what I kind of think.
Okay,
like junkers.
that makes sense.
Essentially.
Considering these planes are like 70 years old,
Yeah,
at least.
yeah. Well, especially the Red Baron's plane's gotta be old.
Right, because like World War One happened from like 1914 to 1918. So
when you said like, I was really, really worried you were going to get the numbers wrong. I'm
No.
not going to lie.
okay, AJ, my cousin and I both had a World War II vehicles phase when we were kids.
That's yeah.
Wow.
So that extended back the other direction too. So I know some stuff about this. Not a whole lot, but some.
I just got worried because I was in a conversation the other day and somebody said something and I was like, who won World War II? And they went, I went, really? This is the easy question.
No, people can be stupid. I understand where you're coming from.
I think Curly Joe won World War II, actually.
That raises a question. I don't honestly remember if the Three Stooges did anything during the war.
I think
They
they
were
were still
pretty
they were still
old during the war, actually.
Yeah.
because
they
they
were.
started in the 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did actually. They did a couple of shorts during the war.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Charlie's technically correct.
There you go.
The best kind of correct.
You're welcome. So now, Curly Joe and Scooby end up flying this plane completely by accident because Scooby like hits a button, and yeah, now we're flying. This is already a shenanigan because like if it's that easy to fly a plane, they really need to have some safeties.
I have a friend who's a pilot. I can tell you right now, it's not.
I would think it wouldn't be.
Yeah, it gets condensed down into like 6 switches.
Yeah, no. Well, at least, I don't know about biplanes like this, but at least for similar planes for the modern era, it's much more complicated.
Yeah, and even then it was more complicated than it's shown in the cartoon. Obviously, it gets baked down for, being a cartoon, but at the same
Right.
time, it's like, oh yeah, here's your throttle, here's an ignition, here's your radio, go!
And what else do you need?
What else
All
do you
right,
need?
apparently that's how a plane works.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it. My favorite thing about this sequence is that Scooby's the one flying the plane the entire time, and he's just trying to figure out how not to get them killed. And Mr. Sawyer is down there, and he's just like, genius! Everything he's doing, he's so good at this.
I also
dog,
thought that was
sir.
going to build into something.
Right. I'm like, sir.
This is a dog.
I know you've never
Why you
flown a
fired?
plane before, otherwise we probably wouldn't be in this situation.
Right.
But just because he managed to accidentally do a loop-de-loop does not mean he's a genius pilot.
No,
I guarantee
that
you
makes
the guy flying the Red Baron's plane can also do a loop-de-loop, except not on accident.
right. Like that maybe qualifies him for a pilot's license, I
Yeah.
guess.
And why are they hiring him? He just slowed his descent by crashing into the corn again.
Yeah,
but
he actively
Horace,
complains about how
that's
destructive
2 more
that is.
bushels of corn I've lost today.
Not 2, he says 10.
Yeah.
You're right.
Dude just cost him so much money, and then he goes, okay, sure, yeah, I'll hire you. I don't got any other choices.
Well,
Is
yeah,
it a
he really
shenanigan?
doesn't.
He got hired? Is that
I will say
that
it
makes
is.
sense?
I would count it.
Because that doesn't make
Because-
sense to me.
I
Considering
was going to say
our
we at
cra-
least have 2 shenanigans here, because we have Scooby getting into the plane to eat the corn, and then we have the whole process of Curly and Scooby flying the plane.
Wait,
Yeah, that's true.
okay. I'll count that.
Accidentally starting it and then, successfully a dog flying a plane. So
Well, it comes up later. Snoopy's flown a plane before, so it's not like there's no precedent for it.
it's true. He is the other Red Baron.
True,
Apparently, yeah.
because I guess the Peanuts cartoons exist in this universe as cartoons.
Or
yeah,
maybe
that joke
Snoopy
surprised me so
Actual,
much.
was an actual real dog. Who knows?
What was that, Tim?
Or maybe Snoopy was an actual real dog in Scooby Doo. Who knows?
Maybe. Who's to
Yeah,
say?
there was an actual dog that fought in World War One in the Scooby Doo camp.
Okay,
Wait,
you
the real
joke.
Red Baron is Snoopy.
You joke. There was a bear
Yeah.
that was part of a Russian battalion during World War One that got a rank and
Yeah.
everything.
It was Polish during World War II, but yes, Wojciech.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Wojciech is an
Props
icon. I
interactive.
love him so much. They fed him cigarettes.
Because what else would you expect them to feed them?
What else would a Polish bear eat?
I
Food?
don't fucking know, man.
Hmm.
Sorry. Charlie is out of their element right now.
I apologize.
No,
Just know that the
like-
Polish people are a genetic anomaly.
I won't question that whatsoever.
I have Polish friends that would probably be glad I said that.
Well,
Technically, Charlie and I both know someone who's Polish.
Ask them. They have really weird senses of national pride. Sometimes they get proud for being called weird because they know it's because they're just insanely like they can do stuff nobody else can. It's weird.
I don't know if she would think that. Or they would think that. Oh well. Anyway, we're going back to the hangar with the mystery machine and the downed plane for repairs.
yeah, we gotta fix both of these vehicles. And who's here to fix the plane wheels? It's the mechanic, Andrew Terra, who
It's just being so unnecessarily creepy.
Yeah.
this is like
He looks like if the Creeper from Jeepers It's the Creeper was a real boy.
Yes, exactly.
it's like I'm trying to describe what my thoughts are here, and it's almost like Scooby-Doo has this way of like profiling people as creepy.
It's
Where
the
it
eye
designs
bags.
people.
It's the
Yeah.
eye bags and the like
The
sunken
jawline,
face.
Yeah, like the
Yes.
and the
sunken
hair,
face. Yeah.
like all of these things together make him incredibly creepy to look at.
Obviously he's supposed to be the suspect is what they're setting up, and it's like I don't know, he just kind of seems kind of helpful. He just seems weird.
He's just a guy. I don't know what you wanted from
I mean,
this, but he's a guy.
He talks a little weird sometimes. Also, I don't know if those are eye bags or like really, really thick eyeshadow.
I was going to
could
say
be
the same
wrong.
thing.
Are you making fun of his guy liner?
Listen, all I'm saying is he either needs to go full drag persona and embrace it, or tone it down a little bit. There's no. This is the in
He's an
between, and I don't like
mechanic
it.
on a farm.
Right? Like, listen, if you want to fix planes in full Trixie Mattel getup, that's your business. But you got to commit to it.
Yeah,
Also,
exactly.
maybe
Don't
it's
go
something like that.
halfway in such a non sequitur career, you know?
Yeah, but also his bowl haircut is worse than Moe's, I think.
Yeah, at least Moe's has
Kinda
some
is,
sort of
honestly.
undercut. There's no
There's no
like
way.
there's nothing going on here. It looks like a helmet in a
It's
bad way.
literally helmet hair.
It does, yeah.
It's
Maybe that was
brutal.
intentional. I don't know.
Like I said, Scooby-Doo just has a way of being like, okay, so this person is going to be a suspect. Whether or not they actually did it, they're going to be the creepiest person you've ever seen, and they'll be in your nightmares tomorrow night. So that's just what this show does.
So what I'm hearing is anti-bowl cut prejudice.
Listen, I had the old Justin Bieber from 2010 to 2012. I understand.
Yeah.
And see, I desperately wanted that haircut. So
I had it. I don't want anyone else to have that ever.
well, you don't have to
The
worry
real
about it.
moral of the story today is, kids, some people deserve to get bullied over their haircuts.
Only if they look stupid.
The moral of the story is get a haircut that works for your head.
Yes, do that. Don't let other people try to dictate how your hair should look.
Unless it's a bowl cut, then they're probably looking out for your best interests. Because who knows? Otherwise, a bunch of teenagers are going to show up and think you're sabotaging a cornfield.
Yeah.
That's the
Yep.
end result.
It is, but we get more shenanigans here.
Yeah, this entire conversation is just like, yeah, they have a new pilot, and he acts like somewhat suspicious because he's like, oh, there's a new pilot? What? I have to go get parts now, right now. And Shaggy and Scooby are like hiding in the mystery machine because, creepy guys here. And whose arm shows up seemingly out of nowhere, but the Red Baron to turn on the crop duster just to have it like, it's not even flying, it's just driving.
Yes, it's not going fast enough to take off.
It's just driving in this little hangar, and it's chasing our smart gang around and around.
Yeah, Red Baron did the airplane equivalent of turning the parking brake off and letting a car roll down the hill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great job,
Yeah.
dude. I guess you kind of weirded people out. The only problem is everybody gets genuinely super freaked out by that happening.
As they
Yeah.
should be.
I mean, that's a giant, mechanism that could, in fact, kill you.
Oh, I get running
like,
for your life.
If I'm in an enclosed space with something that has a giant propeller on it, I'm gonna get freaked out.
Yeah.
Built different, that's what I'll say.
And this is how many crashes? This is like our 4th crash of the day.
3rd or 4th, yeah. 4th if you're including the mystery machine.
I was going to include the mystery machine. Anytime a vehicle crashes,
Okay.
because it crashes into the fertilizer bags that were just put out. But it's really weird because, the fertilizer dusts a plant that's right there, and the plant dies.
Curious.
This is
That's
what he gets
suspicious.
for buying generic.
I knew I shouldn't have bought fertilizer from the guy that sold me magic beans.
Oh, God. All right, and then who comes in but another possible suspect? Probably nobody important. It's just Mr. Siegfried. He's what does he do?
The
again?
airport manager?
Airport?
Yeah, he owns the airport.
I was
Okay.
like, okay, then what does Mr. Sawyer do?
Yeah, I think he literally just owns the farm, but he doesn't even seem to do
he's the
farm work.
landlord of the farm.
I'm like, there's so many, there's just so many white men here.
Well, because with Charlie, what happens a lot of times with bigger farms is that landowners will rent out crop zones to farmers to grow their crops.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm just like, there's so many people here. What is your point of being here? Okay, so he owns the airport, and he's trying to scare them off. Immediate red flag.
Yeah.
Also, don't mind that his last name is German.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think
Nothing
about
suspicious
that.
about that.
Second red flag. He's German, and he wants them to leave. So
No one who speaks German could be an evil man.
No.
no
No one at
especially not
all.
the Red Baron. Ethan, shut up.
But yeah, I didn't think about the fact that his last name was German at all. I have to be totally
I didn't
honest. with you.
either. I just thought he was just a creepy dude.
Well, he
Yeah.
does come. He does come and go pretty quickly before we see him again. So honestly, it is an easy detail to miss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, can't believe we're profiling again in the Scooby-Doo episode.
If it's white people, it's fine.
We haven't seen this level of anti-German sentiment since World War One.
Are you
Oh
sure?
wait,
Oh my goodness.
All right. So now it's nighttime, I guess, and the Three Stooges, Thurple that they are holed up in this little cabin thing. Looks pretty run down.
I love the way they sleep together with their feet out of the covers and they're all snoring. Listen.
Oh yeah, I assume that they've done that every night since 1920.
Of course. Why wouldn't they? But the thing is, I hate having my feet out from under blankets.
oh
My
it
feet
sucks.
get cold
I hate
very
it so much.
fast.
Yeah, I don't know why cartoons keep showing people sleeping like that.
Yeah, why would you
Because
do
it's
that?
funny. One, foot
guess.
fetish. Two, it's funny.
I had not considered that, but animators are very horny. So
It's true. Yeah, exactly.
shout out to Zach from My Cabbages.
Oh no.
I don't want to have to go back and reevaluate decades of cartoons I haven't thought about to see if every joke I didn't get is just a fetish, honestly.
Listen, Tolkien also had a foot fetish. Don't worry about it.
This is true.
Oh god. Okay,
But we get more shenanigans with a not quite doors gag here, Charlie.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Because, there's the plane. What's happening here? They're all running mad. They run outside, which is the worst idea they could have had. And the plane, of course, nearly kills them several times, as well as our gang, who, comes out to be like, what's happening? This is scary. He's almost killing us. And just for good measure, he whacks Shaggy on the head with a note. Because,
what do you attach it to make it hurt Shaggy like that?
I think it was an
A
acorn
rock.
or something. That's
I
what it
don't
looked
know.
like.
Okay, it's probably a rock.
So
And then
it's just once again. Oop.
And then there is actually a pretty funny bit where both the gang and the Three Stooges try to gaslight themselves that didn't just happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I call shenaniganery.
absolute shenaniganery here today. The note is just a warning, get the fuck out, basically. Don't crop
And
dust here.
Right, and then the Red Baron crashes into the hillside. Or does he?
Supposedly. We don't hear a crash. This is... Why is this making me think of, Peter Pan when Wendy doesn't actually splash into the water? It's like, I didn't hear a splash.
Yeah, it is going for that vibe.
Yeah.
Same vibes. So, once again, we have to go check what's going on. And Scooby and Shaggy are being too scared. They're like...
And Velma's like, help us, Curly Joe, you're our only hope. For some fucking reason.
Literally. Just put the buns on her and, little white dress. It's Princess Leia. Right there.
She really is just trying so hard to convince him, and none of them care. It's funny how,
you also seem
it's
oddly invested in this patch of farmland.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe she cares about small businesses, farm owners, something or other. I don't know.
Listen, that's kind of base as far as I'm concerned. I have a soft spot for farmers because, Midwest, and my grandma and grandpa grow hay. So there's that. Anyway.
So, what's going to be safer? Being out in the creepy countryside or going back to the airport? We're just gonna go back to the creepy airport, and we're all gonna sleep together, but not like that.
Okay. Are we going to count the sleeping arrangements as a singular shenanigan, or count individual sleeping arrangements as shenanigans?
I would say it's worth an individual count.
Okay.
It might be.
So first up we got Fred, right? Fred is sleeping on the wing of the biplane, sitting up.
Yeah, the sitting up is what got me.
Yeah, no, that's the most uncomfortable.
Yeah, Shaggy and Scooby are laying on the ground
They're
next to the
spooning.
Mystery Machine.
They're
Yeah.
spooning.
They are spooning.
It's important.
Daphne and Velma are in the Mystery Machine, again, sitting up, just sleeping in the car, even though they have an entire back of the van they could be sleeping in. Mm.
We had to be able to see them on screen without, opening up the Mystery Machine.
Sure. And then the
I
Three
don't know.
Stooges are sleeping in front of the Mystery Machine with shoes on this time,
But their feet are still out of the blanket, so...
for some reason.
And we have padlocked the door, so we're
Yep.
safe, obviously.
Yep. So are we counting all four? Are we counting 4 shenanigans
Yeah,
there? Or...
I think
Yeah, I
so.
think that's
Okay.
4.
Yeah, I think 4 is the
Okay.
fair count.
So this padlock does not work, obviously. Immediately cut with, wire cutters or what have you. And now there's a mysterious thing flying around underneath a red sheet.
Listen, if I know one thing about people who antagonize with other people when there are sheets involved, it's not great.
I just love the Son of the Red Baron part, so much. It's so ridiculous.
It's a good bit. like
why
that.
does this man do this?
Why are they so scared of a fucking RC plane? There's no reason for this.
No.
But then we get shenanigans of Scooby riding on the plane.
Yeah, first Scooby, attacks the thing, it reveals, oh, it's just a tiny version of the Red Baron's plane. He jumps onto it, starts flying woo! Everything's cool, guys. Runs into a wall.
It happens.
And that's where we find the padlock broken on the floor. So that's already a shenanigan. And now we have the Red Baron floating.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly,
Yeah.
why did you wait until after the RC plane to pull out the floating bit? You
Yeah,
know,
like why?
I feel like we kind of
Okay,
paced
listen.
ourselves out a little.
Yeah,
longer.
you should open with that.
AJ, here's the thing. We've established, Charlie and I have, that all Scooby-Doo villains are or were theater kids, right?
Yes.
This guy is a tech theater kid, right? He's
It's very
all
enthusiastic
about
theater.
he's all about, wire work and remote controls and shenanigans in that area of things.
Listen,
Yeah, that's fair. He had to let the RC plane get out there. That way people could appreciate it before he brought in the floating on wires bit.
exactly.
Yeah.
That was
Correct.
just the opening act. So then he could be like, I can float.
Put a pin in the wire work though, because I have a bone to pick with that when we get to the reveal later.
Yeah. It's unclear how this wire work actually works. But he's floating. He's chasing them around. Specifically, he's chasing Shaggy and Scooby around the airport until Daphne helps hide them in the mystery machine. And the Red Baron flies straight through.
Just
A
goes straight
window?
through the window, and I guess
Like it's nothing.
whatever was holding him up is gone, because then he starts jumping around.
He's hopping. He is hopping. Shenanigans.
That's two,
Goddamn
that's two
goddamn.
shenanigans right there. That's two
Scooby-Doo villain
shenanigans.
movement tech unlocked.
I know. And with
Can't
that,
float anymore,
Charlie...
just hop.
Right. Well, like Samurai Jack, because he can't fly, he can just jump good.
Yeah.
So Charlie, with that, we have beat our shenanigan counter for the previous Three Stooges episode.
I mean, that was the lowest bar we could have had because, I think, or no, second lowest. That's
Second lowest.
Yeah, our lowest episode was 11 shenanigans.
Yeah.
And the previous Three Stooges was 14. So
We're at 15 right now.
That means we're halfway to number 1.
Exactly.
And we got a decent bit of episode left.
And then, okay, so as of recording, the movie adaptation of Wicked came out 2 weeks ago, and Daphne said that maybe he doesn't believe in gravity, and now I just need a loop of this footage with Cynthia Erivo singing Defying Gravity in the background.
maybe she just doesn't believe in gravity.
I'm glad I'm not the only person that immediately thought of Wicked when I heard that line.
Absolutely.
I was like,
Oh, that would be amazing.
Of course I'm watching this right now and that has to come to my head.
Listen, I listened to the Wicked original cast album in 2019 for the first time, so I've known about Wicked, but oh god, it's just because of the particular cultural zeitgeist we are in at this moment.
Yeah, exactly. That was what it was for me too. I was like, of course I have to watch this right now when it's at the most relevant moment where that joke just immediately beams itself into my brain, and I'm like, all right.
It fits. It fits. I thought you were gonna go with just the Red Baron as Elphaba for some reason. I thought you were gonna make it even memeier.
I can also get behind that idea.
I don't know. There are other implications by making the Red Baron Elphaba that I don't particularly like. So
yeah, this is fair. But the ghost, the Red Baron,
sure,
there's different.
Yeah. So everybody was like, well, Scooby, Shaggy, and the Three Stooges are like, fuck that shit. We're out of here. Because apparently jumping around is enough to intimidate them.
Yeah,
he's
go
bee-hopping
boing,
in their
boing,
RV.
boing audibly. Apparently that's terrifying.
They want to go to sleep. They have not had a good night's sleep.
Okay, that's...
I also have to say, I think this sells into the theater kid theory.
Yeah.
Because he's going after the audience that is reacting the most viscerally to his art.
True.
He's
Very
knowing
true.
how to get the audience reaction out of it, and that's by going after the scaredy cats.
Yeah, good point.
Exactly.
I think that recontextualizes most of Scooby-Doo in my head, actually.
Yeah.
Because they all do that, and it all makes sense now.
Right. So then the Three Stooges stop, and they gaslight themselves into being brave. So that's great.
It does not work. It does not work whatsoever. Like, Mo is like, are we gonna help those unfortunate when they need us? When we said we were gonna do this? Mo, you didn't say you were gonna do anything. It's all Curly. But then he goes right up to Fred, Daphne, and Velma's like, it's unanimous, we quit. We're leaving. Bye.
I loved the build up to that. Do we hear this damsel in distress pleading for our help? Yes. Are we the only people uniquely suited to do this? Yes. Are we gonna do it?
No.
No.
So they're packing up to leave. Everybody's sad. And then Velma notices that Mr. Sawyer has a plant that is also dying for some reason, even though he's been putting fertilizer on it every day. I feel like you're not supposed to put fertilizer on that much. Try
No.
watering it, maybe?
Not for a
Not
house.
for a house plant.
Try water, maybe.
I mean, like, if you bought potting soil for your houseplant, I get that. Maybe not fertilizer. Like, you're not trying to... I don't know what kind of plant it was, but I don't think you were trying to get it to bear fruit of any kind.
Who knows?
Yeah, I'm not going to try and
maybe he
idea
is.
plant off of like 10 seconds of a Scooby-Doo cartoon.
Maybe
No, I
he's
don't
trying to
either.
grow, like, tomatoes in his office. Who knows?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to say. I was like, maybe it's like cherry tomatoes or something. I don't know.
I was going to say, well, tomatoes grow on a vine, so I don't know. But...
Unclear. So Shaggy and Scooby are also fixing up the Mystery Machine because they want to leave so badly. But who's coming into the hangar right as they're fixing the wheel? The Red Baron. All he has to do, look at them menacingly. They jump into some oil.
no generic jumping sound effects required.
I do think I count this as a shenanigan because they're just like, we're just gonna hide in the oil and that's fine.
Yeah, because apparently they can hold their breath for that long. And don't mind being covered in motor oil.
Yeah.
We've all hit that point at one time or another.
The
Yeah,
framing
exactly.
of this scene I actually found a little confusing because I wasn't because like when you first watched through it, I assumed, oh, okay, he saw them, so they're going to go hide. But then like his follow up actions of like, wait, did he actually see Shaggy and Scooby? Because now I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like that happens quite often where you're not quite sure of the staging.
Yeah,
like,
especially
the episode.
because they immediately hide. It's like, oh, maybe he didn't see them and they're just hiding like preemptively. But then also, why would you hide for that long when you know the Red Baron's in the airport?
I don't know. But he does see Velma.
Yeah, who comes in like right after him. He chases Velma around, and Scooby, genius that he is, uses his tail to like douse the Red Baron's eyes in oil, which, you know, helps a little bit. I think that's a little bit shenanigan. Shenanigan.
I'm counting. I'm counting it.
Yeah, because it's a spot on shot too. He just flicks his tail and it's right across his goggles.
Okay, and I guess the Red Baron has gotten his ability to float back.
Yeah, he just immediately
Somehow.
is floating in the next shot, and he turns on this plane, and apparently it's also a different crop duster that just like, it's not the purple
Was
one,
also
it's the
there.
green one. Yeah, it's also
And
just
they
there.
have multiple planes but no pilots. I don't think they planned this far ahead, honestly.
Yeah, truly an unfortunate situation. But as Charlie and I previously agreed, every time the Red Baron jumps around with those boing boing noises, that counts as a shenanigan, so that's going on there too. Because it's the second instance of that happening.
Yeah. And then he, trips on some oil that was on the floor, which I love.
Man, Home Alone stole a lot of shit from Scooby-Doo, I guess.
It
I
really
think
did.
so. I think Home Alone was just like, we're just gonna make a cartoon, but in live action, actually.
I mean, given the plot of Home Alone, it makes more sense than not.
Yeah.
it's about that time again. I need to rewatch Home Alone. And maybe some
Yeah,
of
it
the
is
It's
that
that
sequels.
time of year.
time. Yeah. So let's see. This comes out. Okay. Yeah, so listeners, as we're recording this, is still before Christmas. So,
Time is an illusion.
'tis.
And so are pants.
Very true. Very true.
Ethan is having an
What? You've never heard of the
existential
Emperor's New Clothes?
Yes, that is not the direction I thought you went with that. Okay.
That's clearly what we meant.
crisis. Oh, I was referencing
Obviously.
Avatar.
No, I got it.
You were?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
What
The
is it?
swamp guy.
Yeah, the swamp guy is like
Oh,
Thames
yes.
Lewinson, and so are pants.
Right, the swamp benders. Sorry, I got you.
love
I
the
got you.
Swamp Bender so much. Especially since moving to Florida and just realizing, like, oh yeah, we are all like that, aren't we?
Oh god, you willingly moved to Florida, you poor soul.
Alright, Scooby-Doo.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Shaggy and Scooby tell the Stooges, hey, Velma's stuck up there in a plane and she doesn't know how to get down. Help her.
Yeah. What are we gonna do? How are we gonna get her down from a plane? Obviously, what we do is we put the guy who can barely fly a plane back in a plane.
And figure it out from there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, they call the Red Baron a spooky red rabbit, and I think that's hilarious because
It
of how he
is.
hops. This
Yeah.
man and his hopping, insane.
He's just a goofy little guy. A
He's-
goofy little guy flying a plane from 1915 and terrorizing a farm in the middle of Kansas for some reason.
This is a
No.
red goblin man.
Pure gremlin energy from this man.
Man, can't a flying ace have some hobbies once in a while?
You know, that's fine. It's fine if you have hobbies, but my hobbies don't typically terrify teenagers.
Also, him and his tiny little RC plane, beautiful, immaculate. He does in fact go up to like is
The
it-
top
is
of
this
a windmill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he goes up to a windmill, and this is where he keeps the controls for the plane. Who designed this?
I think like real deal RC stuff hadn't been invented yet, so it was kind of in its infancy. So there
Now
were
I'm kinda
more
curious.
like
I gotta look now.
Yeah, it wouldn't have had a remote like you would associate modern RC devices with.
yeah.
Yeah,
I thought it was probably too old for that.
yeah, I'm fine with like a weird like bigger thing than it should be, but like this is built into the windmill.
Yeah.
That's
So
Yeah.
not
apparently
how that.
RC cars were invented in 1966, formally. But they worked
Hmm.
very differently than they do nowadays. So 1972
Sure.
would not have had like
No.
the kind of shit Red Baron is doing in an RC plane. Because we're talking like RC cars, most of them still running on tracks for power.
Yeah, that checks out. So he sends the plane after them, which obviously it's gonna scare Shaggy and Scooby.
Yeah.
It tears down an apple tree, all the apples fall in them. It chases them through the cornfields, where it spells out the word help in cursive.
Okay, so
That's two separate
What?
shenanigans.
yeah, so the plane is following Scooby and Shaggy's movements almost exactly. So not only did Scooby and Shaggy know to run to spell out the word help, this guy apparently is so good at his RC plane that he was able to follow it that precisely.
Without looking at it directly.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's so funny that Shaggy specifically says, well, I don't know what else to do in this situation, and immaculately spells out the word help in a cornfield. Do you have some experience you're not telling us about, Shaggy?
Shaggy helped run the corn maze at his local pumpkin patch by just running through the corn and marking shit out.
I was gonna say in a future iteration, Shaggy actually dates an alien, so maybe she told
That's
him
true.
about some
Yeah, maybe
crop
this is
circle
correct.
things. How to
I
make some
was
crop
going to
circle.
make a joke about aliens, but yeah, I totally forgot that it is canon that later on Shaggy
Yeah.
will date an alien.
That's
Oh.
that's some Mystery Inc. shenanigans, which we are not there yet.
No, it's not even Mystery Inc.
No?
No,
Alien
that's
Is that what's
Invaders,
new?
I think.
Alien
It's like
Invaders.
the
Yeah.
90s movies. The 90s
Alien
and
Invaders.
2000s movies.
Oh.
Alien Invaders.
Because it turns
Okay.
out that both his and Scooby's love interests in that movie, at the end, we find out they're aliens.
I have
Like actual
not seen that
aliens.
particular movie. So
It's weird.
Sorry.
I'd
I
argue
did
it's the
not mean to
weirdest of
spoil
the
something for
straight to
you.
DVDs.
I was gonna say I've only seen I think 3 of those, and that's the one I haven't seen.
Yeah, I would dare
I've-
say Alien Invaders is the weirdest.
Because I've seen Zombie Island, Witches, Ghosts, and Cyber Chase, but not Alien Invaders.
They're of a different time.
They
They're
are.
very good. All right. So, the Three Stooges once again, they're going up in a plane to save Velma, who is trying to figure out the distress signal that she needs to tell everybody.
Yeah, just running through the months.
I love it.
God.
That's like,
Beautiful.
Velma, you of all people can't remember Mayday.
I thought that was going to be a one-off gag, too, until she actually starts screaming it into the radio, and it cuts to Daphne going, "It's the middle of June."
Because apparently everybody forgot that.
I'm sure I knew about Mayday before I saw this for the first time as a small child.
I think I know about Mayday because of Ice Age Dawn of the Dinosaurs.
You know what? That checks out. That tracks to me.
I will say I knew about Mayday as a distress signal before I knew about Mayday the holiday. But I'm glad I
Same.
knew about Mayday the
Same.
holiday, or that joke would not have made sense to me.
No, and I think a lot of kids watching this may not have known that Mayday was a holiday.
I
least
can
I
almost
wouldn't have.
guarantee you it went over their heads because it's
Yeah,
not
I think that
celebrated
would
in
be
the
a
US.
total
That's what Labor
flip
Day
for
is.
any kid watching this these days.
That's true. Sorry, Tim, we completely cut you off.
No, it's fine. It wasn't that important.
Yeah, so Fred and Daphne are apparently in like the radio center so they can help try to help Velma remotely, which like that
That's
is
a good
in fact the
thought.
smartest plan that they could have come up with. But sadly her radio is dead, so nothing gets to her really. They can hear her, but she cannot hear them,
Mm.
it seems.
But Three Stooges go out of the hangar, back in, and then back out again.
They do. That's a shenanigan. And then just them flying a plane is probably another shenanigan because
Yeah.
goddamn, they cannot fly a plane.
Well, the reason they can't fly the plane is Curly forgot his comic book.
Yeah, of course he did.
That, God, of all the things to come back around in this episode, why the fuck did the comic book come back?
I know, right?
Love it. I love the comic.
There are so many
No.
jokes about the comic book that I was just like, okay, really?
I like
I'm kind
the
of surprised you thought
shenanigans.
this far ahead.
I like the shenanigans involved with it, but of all the things, but the Red Baron in the meantime is back. Because Shaggy and Scooby are at the top of this windmill,
Yeah,
flying
they found
the.
his little thing.
They found his controls. Yeah, the Red Baron is back, and he goes down the
He
ladder
runs down
'cause-
so fast. Like,
and apparently this man has the strength of 100 people because he's able to shake this fucking windmill by holding on to the ladder.
and then he breaks the windmill off like it is Jello, and then
What the
bounces
fuck?
away. That's
Like
two
20
shenanigans, at least.
Yes.
This
Like
is where we
20
find
on-
out it's just really structurally unsound, and every time he went up there, he was really gambling on his life.
That is the most believable potential outcome here.
Yeah,
Would have been a very different episode if he climbed up to the top and the windmill just went, huh?
But like,
Mr. Siegfried, are you alright? Why are you in the Red Baron costume? Oh,
like so many Scooby Doo villains. This guy is clearly you're probably one. You could be like an Olympic level weightlifter, and instead you're wasting your time on a real estate scheme.
That's what I'm saying. Like, your talents could be used better elsewhere.
yeah.
The United States would have been undefeated through the 70s and 80s if this guy would have been on the weightlifting team. The Olympics.
Oh man. Well, Shaggy and Scooby have found their new favorite toy. Meanwhile, Fred and Daphne have to start reading the comics to help the Three Stooges land safely. They're hoping that it gets to Velma. Once again, it's like, how are we helping Velma here?
I
Everyone
think at
else is in
some
danger.
point the noise gets through to Velma, but she can't understand any of it, so she just starts tuning it all out.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe. Well, like maybe her radio is just giving her feedback or something. So she's like,
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, it's kind of what I thought was happening, but
it doesn't really tell you.
So I'm going to count Fred reading out the comic book and describing what needs to happen as a shenanigan.
because the
especially because he
plane is
starts on the wrong page.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, Curly passes out when they suggest that the plane might crash. So he's just like passed out. I think Mo is like trying to do all of this himself for a majority of it,
Mhm.
and Curly then wakes up and is like, "I got it."
Again,
Bro.
for the record, listeners, do let us remind you that Curly has crashed a plane several times with no ill effects, but the suggestion of crashing a plane immediately made him faint.
Mhm.
draw your own conclusions.
Curly is a strange, strange individual.
Strange
Absolutely.
old bird, that Curly. Scooby and
He tries to
Shaggy
pull
are
a
playing
throttle.
around. Yeah, Scooby and Shaggy are playing around with the toy plane.
They're just playing around. I mean, Shaggy's just like, what does this do? Okay, it goes bananas. What does this do? Okay. Oh, there is a shenanigan where the plane like nearly makes him fall off of the windmill.
Yep.
And then what does Scooby do to help Shaggy regain his balance? He makes the plane go the other way so that it, like, I guess blows the air the other way so that Shaggy can... He regains his footing. He's fine.
And then we get a great line. This little Fokker might come in handy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good, nice way to slip that through the censors, Hanna-Barbera. But now we get more Three Stooges playing shenanigans, where Curly, I guess, takes the knob off the radio.
Yeah, because they're telling him to pull up the throttle, so he pulls out the radio, and then I think he pulls something else out that just, like, spills oil all over Mo.
The second one he pulls is the fuel line.
Yeah, the fuel.
Yeah,
And then he finally finds the throttle. So they landed. Did we help Velma? No.
No, Velma's still up there.
Also, we did, in fact, crash the plane.
I was going to say, for the record, they did not land safely. They do, in fact, crash.
Yeah, they busted the landing gear, but it's much better than last time.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's
this time
something.
they just dent the propeller against the wall of one of the hangars. It's fine.
It's fine.
I think that's
They've got
the
spares.
crash of a vehicle in this episode.
There's so many.
Absolutely so many.
And the only reason the plane stopped is because it had no more gas.
Yeah.
The only reason the plane stopped was because it had no more gas. Jesus Christ.
So, then we go to more shenanigans because, like, they're on a fucking windmill. Of course, Shaggy gets on the windmill.
And Scooby
just going-
lands in the plane with Velma.
Yeah. Of course.
Makes sense.
And maybe Scooby actually is a flying savant because once he's in there, then they're actually able to land the plane.
Yeah, that's the farmer should have hired Scooby to be the crop duster. It's not whatever Curly was trying to do.
Yeah, see, and that's what I expected to come full circle. But no, it's that Curly only knows how to fly the plane because of a comic book. And even then he barely knows.
Right.
Scooby just automatically has proficiency in air vehicles. I don't know.
Just 'cause he's
Add
a
that to the
dog.
character sheet, Charlie.
We have precedence for it. Snoopy flew a plane.
This is true. Snoopy taught him how to fly, I think.
There we go.
think
I
that's
see.
good.
I need fan art of Snoopy sitting behind Scooby in like a training plane, telling him what to do.
But the plane is also still Snoopy's house.
Yes.
Oh.
So they do crash. There was an attempt to land the plane safely, but that green plane is busted up to hell because the back half is missing, the wings are missing, and eventually the landing gear comes off. But Velma and Scooby are okay, and Scooby got a fish in his mouth because they landed in a pond. Love that for them.
And Shaggy somehow is just able to wait out this windmill until it slows down so that he can jump off and go down the little pole. Just slides down it like it's...
Yeah. I think this particular windmill is being used to get oil out of the ground instead of grinding stuff. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Because that's the way some windmills work, or
Yeah.
that's what some windmills do.
So that's 6 crashes once again.
Mhm.
And this is where Velma finally puts the thing together because the gang is all met back up and we see some weeds that are growing like so tall. But there's some weed killer boxes right next to them. What's going on there? So somebody obviously switched the fertilizer and the weed killer and dumped all the fertilizer on this weeds. And also we just happened to find some tracks nearby that lead to a barn.
Yeah. There's always got to be something incriminating in a barn.
Of
True.
course.
A barn, a mill, a mine. It's one of those 3.
Yeah, exactly.
In this
And
case, we get all those 3.
Yeah.
We do.
We
We
do.
in fact get a barn, a haunted grist mill. Yeah. And so we're like, obviously, these are the plane tracks from the Red Baron's plane. This is where we needed to go. So we're splitting up and looking for clues. Guys. Also, the Three Stooges are still just in that plane. that crashed. We don't hear from them for a little bit.
They're in shock. They're in shock. They're recovering from a traumatic experience.
Clearly, Shaggy and Scooby have to go to the grist mill, but they're gonna get sidetracked because there's an apple tree, and we have to go pick apples now.
That's definitely a shenanigan.
It is.
Absolutely.
Charlie, I have good news. We
Yeah?
have tied for the most shenanigans in a single episode as of right now.
Oh no. The problem is we're not done.
We're not.
We still have 13 minutes of episode left, boys.
Oh god. Alright, so yeah, Shaggy's on Scooby's shoulders. Obviously, Scooby is stealing all the food instead of, giving any apples to Shaggy.
Okay, he can't grab them. He's holding Shaggy. There's no
No,
appendage.
He's eating them. He's eating them.
No, he's catching them with his mouth, yeah.
Yeah, he can't catch them with anything else.
Yeah.
Except apparently
Well,
he
his catching
can
appendages are being used.
because a few minutes later there's a big pile of apples that he's gathered.
There you
Yeah.
go.
They
We've
figured it
established that Scooby's tail is prehensile.
That's fair.
Yeah, this is absolutely true.
And that Scooby is
Uh,
freakishly strong.
Yes. So the Three Stooges finally wake up and they see the Red Baron dumping fertilizer, quote unquote, into the back of the crop duster. And they hop in some, I guess, empty fertilizer bags?
Yeah, they're hiding, obviously. Also, did
How
this
those burlap
thing-
sacks were big enough for the Three Stooges, I really don't know.
Burlap sacks can get pretty big.
They can.
Don't worry
They
about
can.
it. Cartoon logic. They're in hammer space.
True.
This is true.
And the Red Baron fucking tickles them.
Yeah, yeah, he
Somebody
does.
call P. Diddy, because this guy's diddling people.
Mm.
You don't know where he's touching them. It could be anywhere.
Oh my god.
God.
Yeah, Curly sneezes to get the Red Baron's attention, and of all of the responses the Baron can take to that, he decides to start tickling the bags.
Yeah. That was a choice.
Who cares what else he did wrong? The man's a freak.
Man has fetishes.
I love that you guys were focused on that when I was just like, wait, why is he putting fertilizer bags in the plane they just crashed? Oh, look, it's prepared somehow.
It's fine.
Don't
Well,
worry
yeah,
about it.
It's cartoon logic. If a vehicle goes off screen for 3 seconds, it's fine to use again.
There you go.
Apparently.
That, and we don't know how long it was between the camera cuts and everything. Who knows?
True.
We know that plane can't land. We don't know that it can't run. He could have refueled it.
True.
True.
And his plan could be to just crash it into something and call it a day.
That's fair. He
He's
could just
done it before.
crash it into the corn.
Alright. So Fred, Daphne, and Velma are still trying to get the barn open, but they see the Red Baron driving a Jeep with the Three Stooges inside the burlap sacks in the back.
I love his stone wall. His little stone wall is my favorite.
Yeah, the secret gate inside the wall.
He presses a button and then the wall just goes back and it's it opens up. It's like, what? What? I don't think that's
Better
how
than a
stones
lot of
work.
modern gates I've seen, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love a gate that opens like that. And I guess this is also a garage door opener, because the barn gets open when he presses a different
Yeah.
button.
Yeah, they were struggling because you needed this specific button to open it. And they didn't have that. So they rushed
Don't you
into
love
the
when you get one of
barn.
those all-in-one remotes off of Amazon?
Mm.
Probably only cost them
Hey,
like $7 with Prime.
They call it a universal remote for a reason.
So the gang has rushed into the barn and they're hiding, but Daphne walked into some cowbells. So he
Mhm.
knows that somebody's here.
By the
And
way,
because
that's
by the way, that was Daphne's only contribution for this entire special.
True. Well, she did help Shaggy and Scooby hide earlier, but
That's true. Yeah.
She gave us the wonderful joke of Mayday, today's June 5th.
which coincidentally is the day after my birthday.
Destiny has led up to this moment. How do you feel?
My cheeks hurt from laughing, so I feel pretty good.
We're doing pretty good today. Yeah, so he obviously locks them in. And then we go back to Shaggy and Scooby. They have their apples. But as Shaggy is getting the last of the apples, Scooby falls into the river because it was a little bit too out of reach. And Shaggy also falls into the river. And now they have, They have to go around and around the mill. Hey, look! We did that already. We did that in the Fricker Fracas.
Yep. Really playing the hits here.
Yeah. But they're able to jump into the window this time, unlike that time in that episode.
Yep. They learn from their mistakes. I gotta give them that.
Yeah, they really did.
And then once they get inside this mill, we get reference to a meme I have seen so many times. The caution, do not open, danger. Oh, Scoob, I'm dying to know what's inside.
I did not know that was a meme!
Yeah, I've seen it multiple times.
Oh, I love that. What's inside, Ethan? What could it possibly be?
A ghost!
Well, that's just what Scooby thinks it is. It's not a
Yeah.
Yeah, and Scooby rips
It's
the
not a
sheet
ghost.
off of the box for no apparent reason and then decides to repurpose it as a ghost costume, which I think is rather ingenious on his part.
Yeah, but what's actually inside the box is a bunch of springs.
But the great joke here is that Shaggy's like, "Oh, Scooby, you're always jumping to conclusions. Cue the springs."
Yes.
Because those...
Whap,
Yeah.
whap.
But then we get a shenanigan of Scooby running into a wall
Yeah.
and uncovers a door.
Yeah, because he's got springs on his feet, so he's got to do the thing, and yeah, the wall just, like, comes off. I don't know. Somebody plastered over this door for some reason. It's fine.
I don't know, given his endgame goal, that feels like a pretty landlord thing for Siegfried to do.
Yeah, I think I would agree.
Yeah, and then we find out that the gang is on the other side here. Like literally everyone else is on the other side of this door. And conveniently there's a saw right next to it, so he can just, like, saw the door. And it's like, yay, we're united, but also we're trapped. Either way.
Yeah.
Like, they...
Because when Scooby and Shaggy got into the mill, they fell through the floor, so they can't get back out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But hey, we
But-
finally get a Stooges gag.
We do. Where they tie or tape the saw to the propeller of the plane
Mm-hmm.
to get it to cut through a different door.
Yeah, so that we can get all the way out of this place. And it's the Red Baron's plane.
Mm-hmm.
So, we finally get out, and the Red Baron is flying the crop duster. Fuck.
That's not great.
Scooby and Shaggy are like, you know what? We have a plan. We know exactly what to do. We're gonna get out the son of the Red Baron. Get out old Junior.
All because he's going to ruin the corn.
Yeah.
And I
Of course.
guess the ladder's back after being ripped off. Because according to Tim, if you don't see an object broken for 3 or more seconds, it's fine.
No, I think what happens is Scooby and Shaggy run up the poles. Shaggy slid down at a 90
Yeah.
degree angle.
That's another shenanigan for sure.
Yeah, it is. They ran up the pole directly. So, but they're able to spook this guy.
Also, the Son of the Red Baron is much smaller this time around, I guess.
Well, you
Or
know
at
how
least
it
when
goes.
when it takes off.
Well, you know how it goes. It's like when you fight the final boss and when you unlock him as a playable character, they have to get
There you
weaker.
go.
Yeah,
there you go. You got nerf
So
him.
now that the son of the Red Baron is, a MacGuffin to stop the Red Baron, it has to be weaker in comparison for balance purposes.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah. So they're able to spook him, like, enough that he, like, gets out of the plane, or, like, lands the plane, gets out of the plane, but he starts up his own plane that's conveniently right next to our heroes, because he can do that remotely.
Man
he-
really invented remote start before it was cool.
Yeah.
This bouncing thing. He bounces right into it. He gets into his plane again. So now we have a plane chase. Because
We had to have one.
and the
Yeah.
Smart Gang all get into the crop duster, which, guys, we already know what's inside of it. Why would you do that? You're sending weed
I don't-
killer everywhere.
Also, the
I
crop
don't
duster
fucking know.
suddenly has a second row for passengers.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody was
The
cramming
crop
in
duster always in
together.
the second row. They just crammed 3 people into it.
Yeah, I think before it was that Curly was in the front and then, like, Larry and Mo were in the back seat. So now
Yeah,
they're
they
just
were.
like, oh, we can fit 3 people in one. It's fine.
Yep.
So
Also,
Scooby,
weed killer spells out help.
yeah, it does. Because he doesn't have the fucking comic book. So
Damn it, not
Scooby
again.
grabs the comic book. We get out the Son of the Red Baron. Scooby is riding on it as Shaggy is driving it. and he's reading out the instructions so we can figure out what to do. Guys, I thought we were in a plane fight. This is not helpful.
No, this is a pilot's license exam, I guess.
Apparently. But you know what? We shenanigans our way through, because as he's telling them what to do, they fly just enough above the Red Baron's plane that they do not kill him, but they take off his wings.
That's almost worse.
Yeah, that's,
Hey, he's able to land safely enough that he doesn't die.
Well,
I mean,
no.
he kind of just slams into 2 trees, but he lives.
yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
No one suffers any major injuries from the multiple plane crashes in this episode.
Yeah, in biplanes of all things.
Yeah. Don't worry, when they do
Those
their
things
next
are not
musical, they'll
safe.
find out about the whiplash.
Yeah.
So he's crashed, but then he's got his little car. He's like, I can get away with this.
And fucking Curly stands up, which, like, there's a reason why on aircrafts they tell you not to stand up until you're allowed to. Because you just fucking float away, apparently.
I thought he was I thought that was a shenanigan. I thought he was specifically like, Captain Curly to the rescue! And then he was like, that was a cartoon thing. I thought he was just flying. But maybe that's also actually how physics work. I don't know. It's a cartoon.
I don't either. I count it as a shenanigan. And they crop dust this man to the point where he crashes his car.
I think that's crash number 8.
That's 8.
Because him crashing was 7, so that's 8 with the car. Yeah, I mean, he's a weed. And then who should fall on him in the Son of the Red Baron? It is Scooby-Doo. We have trapped this man, and we unmask him.
Yeah, there's a 150-plus pound Great Dane and an RC plane on top of him. Unless this man decides to show his Olympic weightlifting strength again, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah. So, we caught him. It's Mr. Siegfried! No way! It's the one German guy in the
What?
episode.
Wow.
The guy who's intimately aware with all the workings of planes and the construction of the airport knew where to hide things around the airport so he could terrorize a bunch of people.
Crazy.
Who would have thought?
That's
Yeah.
wild.
What was his plan? He wanted to buy the farms for dirt cheap.
Yeah, so they said the government was planning on expanding the airport into a jet strip. So they were going to need to buy up the surrounding land anyway. So what he did was he sprayed the weed killer over all the other crops around it, so the prices of the farms would drop, so he could buy them up for cheap and then sell them back to the government for a big profit.
Which, if I remember correctly, was also the motivation for Space Kook.
Yep. Listen.
Yeah, because apparently America's agricultural output doesn't mean anything compared to the profits of real estate in small quantities.
As always.
And the profits
real
of
villain-
airlines.
The real villain of Scooby-Doo is capitalism.
We
If
said
you
this
didn't
from the
already know.
get-go. We said this from the get-go. So then after all of that, we're celebrating. Shaggy decides to, Curly decides to take, I guess, a link of bologna, chop it up with the propellers of one of the
Yeah,
crop
because-
dusters.
Because it's a really big thing, and Shaggy's like, how are we supposed to cut this? What are we supposed to
Yeah.
do?
Yeah, because Mr. Sawyer decides, oh yeah, since I'm not actually paying you, since I'm making no money whatsoever, here's just a massive feast of food that we presumably do not grow on the farm.
Yeah, actually, at the end of the episode, is Curly still technically employed as the crop duster?
He hasn't been fired,
Maybe.
so I guess.
We never got him formally being fired. He did quit, but Mr. Sawyer wasn't there to hear it, so...
I was gonna say, he never had his first day of work.
True.
Huh, I suppose that's true.
But yeah, Shaggy
All of
catches
this happened the night he got hired.
Shaggy catches all the bologna between 2 big slices of bread, but then he trips and falls, and Scooby catches the bologna in his mouth
Yeah.
and asks for more.
Yeah, and I think that we
More
can cap that
shenanigans.
off as our last shenanigan.
Yes.
Oh no, our last shenanigan is Scooby dressing up as the Red Baron and showing
And
us
jumping
how,
around.
showing us exactly how he did this thing with the hook and then the bouncing. with the strings in his
So
face.
this is
Oh,
what
yeah.
I was alluding to before. So they show that the Red Baron was flying around because there was a hook attached to, like, I guess, the upper levels of the hangars. But, like, in the earlier scenes, there was not a hook visible, and it's very visible when we're seeing Scooby do it.
That is the magic of cartoons, I feel. I feel like that stuff tends to
I
be
think
hand-waved.
so.
I thought you were going to complain because there's times when the Red Baron is, like, outside, and it's like,
That's
there's
what I was going to point out.
That's
nothing
what I thought Tim was going to get on too.
for a
Yeah.
hook to hang on to.
There are a couple of spots where he just straight up floats where it's like, okay, I could understand that maybe you hid a rig to do this in the hangar.
Sure.
Yeah.
How are you doing it out the window? Because these are not big windows.
Right, like, unless you have a crane with, like, a rail system that goes basically anywhere,
I have
there's
questions.
no way.
What's happening
Oh,
here,
well.
sir? All right.
Also, how did he manage to bounce on the springs so effectively when they were quite literally just on the bottom of his feet? How did he not fall out of his
He
shoes at least
trained.
once?
He fucking trained that shit.
Yeah, that's got to be months of practice.
He's a stunt performer, I guess, in addition to every other thing.
Well, Ethan, we talked about the episode. What time is it?
It's terror time again.
Let's talk about some trivia, my friends. All right, we're going over to Scooby-Doo wiki, and we just read each of these bullet points. So, had the Red Baron lived, he would have been 80 years old when this episode aired. Red Baron died at age 25 on April 21st, 1918, after being shot down.
The Red Baron was 25 when he died?
Apparently!
I am
Yeah,
24!
yeah, he was pretty young.
So next year is your Red Baron year.
I guess. I mean, I like his pizza good enough. Might as well do the real thing.
I was going to follow up with the other question. How do you feel about getting shot down in an airplane over Germany?
I'd rather not.
Okay, maybe it won't be his Red Baron year then. We'll find out next year.
We shall see.
I was gonna say he learned how to fly planes and he eats pizza next year. That's a secret.
I already do one of those things.
I would advise not flying planes. Given your discomfort with the idea of being shot down over Germany, I think it's in your best interest.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to do that. But the scene that shows the Red Baron bringing the Stooges over to the bar and unlocking them in with Fred and the girls is cut when it was aired on Cartoon Network, as well as some scenes when Shaggy and Scooby discovered the small plane. The edited version created a plot hole since no explanation was provided into how they end up where they are. Okay.
Yeah, this happened at least in one other episode so far, where like a bunch of the like random shenanigans in the middle have been cut.
This is one of the Don
Just
Knotts
for-
episodes, I think.
It's probably just for like timing issues of like so we can air it in like 30 minutes or something.
Yeah, that happens to a lot
Yeah.
of syndication.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really annoying because they usually cut out like some of the best parts of the episode, honestly.
Yeah.
You guys want to read out some of these bullet points for us too?
Sure. Tim, do you want to take the next one or should I?
You go ahead.
Okay. Much of the music played in this episode was reused from the series Dastardly and Muttley and their flying machines. And I actually
nice.
recognized one of them.
One of the pieces of music?
Yeah, because I really liked Wacky Races as a kid too. Like they were like
Okay.
neck and neck for me, so I knew Dastardly and Muttley.
Yeah.
And admittedly, Hanna-Barbera cartoons use a lot of the same instrumental tracks. Like you can find like
Yeah.
4 or 5 shows around the same time that use like the same 6 tracks for chase
Yeah.
scenes.
So did you like what they did with the Scoob movie in 2020?
I like the idea behind it. I think conceptually it was an okay
Yeah.
like process to start. I just think that movie didn't really deliver on anything it wanted to do.
Okay.
Yeah, this is
Well,
fair.
because
Yeah, I
like
agree with
Dick Dastardly and Muttley were like central to that plot in addition
Yeah.
to the Scooby-Doo stuff, so that's why I thought you would be more favorable toward it.
I love Dick Dastardly so much. I feel like more Hanna-Barbera crossovers should use him more effectively.
Yeah.
And Scoob, I think, tried. It's just, like I said, I don't think Scoob quite knew what it wanted, so it didn't really live up to anything.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Also, why do we keep attaching Scooby to the Blue Falcon of all things?
I don't fucking know, dude.
I think that's one of his
It is a
first
weird trend.
crossovers, actually.
Then they all
You
happened in
know,
a pretty
Charlie.
close period of time, didn't they?
Yeah.
Let me check
Mhm.
our list. Yeah, our first crossover that's like not from a Scooby-Doo show is Dynamutts. Scooby-Doo's in 2
Yeah.
episodes of Dynamutts.
Yeah, I kind of get it, but it's like, how is it that of all Hanna-Barbera characters to cross over with the most, it had to be Blue Falcon? I'm sure
I
there's
don't know.
actually a different character in number 1, but You can't
That's
cross
like
over
that
with a
then?
lot of them because they're all like the same concept. You know, like
Yeah.
you can't go do Jabberjaw because Jabberjaw's ripping off Scooby Doo. You can't go do any of the other shows around that time because they're all very formulaic and sharing that same concept.
Yeah.
But Blue Falcon, that's the one you picked?
Yeah.
Not like the Jetsons or the Flintstones or anything like that.
Well, the people of the future, the people of the past. How do we fit that into Scooby Doo?
Time travel, why the hell not?
Yeah, there you go.
Where's our Scooby Doo time travel movie where they meet both of these gangs? Oh wait, didn't that happen in Scoob? Where they time traveled?
I don't remember.
Did they?
But the
We met
Flintstones did
Caveman.
meet the Jetsons at one point. I remember that happening.
Yes.
Yes, I remember that special. Actually, I think it might have been a full-blown movie.
I think it was. Anyway,
So
Yeah.
the last bit of trivia. This is the second and final appearance of the Three Stooges on the new Scooby-Doo movies. Larry Fine died January 24th, 1975, age 72. Mo Howard passed away 4 months later on May 4th, 1975 at 77. Joe Besser died March 1st, 1988, aged 80. Curly Joe DeRita, the last surviving Stooge, died July 3rd, 1993 at age 83. 5 years later, Hanna-Barbera rejuvenated the Three Stooges with Curly Howard in ink and paint form as the Robotic Stooges, a segment of Skatebirds on CBS, sorry.
I don't know what that is. But
Yeah,
okay.
never heard of that.
I've never heard of this. All right, and then we have some cultural references here. So, the Ghost of the Red Baron flies in what appears to be a Jesus Christ. Okay, they said it in the episode. The biplane, the Fokker D7.
7.
I was trying to figure out the Roman numerals. A biplane that didn't see service until mere days after the Red Baron had died. Ironically, Richthofen flew the V11 prototype of
Two.
the.
Or
Yeah, it says
Oh,
V11.
that's
I
a lot.
think it's supposed to
maybe
be
they
V2,
meant to do
but-
2. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they meant to do
7?
2, but
I don't know. The prototype, in a 1918 fighter competition proclaiming after modifications to be the best aircraft in the competition. The majority of the Red Baron's kills, 61 out of 80 total, were in an Albatross D3, which was a biplane. The Fokker that the real Red Baron made the remaining 19 kills in was a Fokker some
DR1. I
yeah, I
think
think
that's how
it's a
that's.
DR1.
I guess.
Yeah.
DR1
I also just
biplane.
looked into it. The prototype he flew was in fact a V11.
Oh, okay.
All right.
That is a little confusing when it's like the Roman numerals.
Yeah, the
Right,
V11 of the
just-
D7. All right.
Just put XI. Like, just stick with the Roman numerals. Oh well.
Yeah.
In a 1943 Stooge movie short, Disney pilots the Three Stooges build an airplane only to find out the plane is too big to take out of a hangar. The gag was reused in this episode.
I love that. They were referencing Three Stooges stuff. Good shit.
Yeah. Although Curly Joe is based on then living stooge Joe DeRita, he at one point utters the nyuk 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 exclamation of Curly Howard, a stooge who died in 1952.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think there's part of me that, like, yes, if you know the Stooges, you're going to get upset about that. But also, 90% of America just knows the Stooges off of the nyuk nyuk nyuk.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
if you're gonna
gonna
have
say-
Three Stooges, you have to do it at least once, even if you don't actually have Curly Howard doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It just made sense to have somebody do it.
Shaggy and Daphne briefly discuss the Red Baron's battles against Snoopy the Beagle in the Peanuts cartoons and comics.
Yay! The Red Baron says at one point, "Very interesting." A catchphrase used by Artie Johnson when he played a German soldier on Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In at the time in its 6th and final season on NBC.
I think we've had this fact come up before.
We have. This has in fact come up before because Velma's said this very phrase at least once, if not several
times. Yeah.
in episodes.
The theme of the villain trying to scare people off of land to buy it cheap was first used in Scooby-Doo Where Are You episode Spooky Space Kook. I was
There you
remembering that
go!
correctly.
There you go. You watch enough episodes, you learn how it goes. Ethan, what is our final shenanigan counter for this episode? I know it's gonna beat everything. I know
Charlie, we now have a definitive first place with this episode with 39 shenanigans.
Oh my god.
Dang.
39
Took first place by 10.
by
That's going to be hard
10.
to beat.
That's going to be very difficult. So we'll see what happens.
Remember we thought the Don Knotts episode was gonna be the top, and that's only 25?
I can't blame you. It is Don Knotts after all.
Yeah,
No, the things he does in that episode are very shenanigan worthy. There were just so many in this
In
episode.
this one.
That's what happens when you bring the Stooges. You get shenanigans by volume.
But the thing is, the other episode the Stooges were in, there were only 14. 14.
To be fair, I mean, that was our first episode of the season, so like
Yeah.
we're still figuring out like what we were counting as shenanigans.
That's true.
But also, like, the thing is, this episode was somehow more focused and still had more shenanigans.
yeah.
And
I think a lot of that can also come down to it being a pilot.
That's
Not
true.
only for the season, but for the series. I think it's a lot of finding its footing, both in terms of what this show is going to be compared to Where
Yeah.
Are You, but rather how much you're going to allow your celebrity guests to kind of guide the plot.
Absolutely.
And what kind of stuff you allow them to get into.
true. Ironic
Yeah,
that
that's
this episode wasn't the pilot.
I know. It would have been it would have been perfect. It would have been a perfect pilot, unlike Curly Joe. Either way. So, guys, folks, fine people, we rate every episode out of 5 Scooby Snacks. What are y'all giving this? I know what mine is. Just go ahead.
For me, I'd say this is a three and a half. It's better than average, although I don't think there was as much stooginess as I would have liked.
Yeah, I was kind of coming in at the 3.5 mark myself. I
Okay.
think, like you said, compared to a lot of episodes, it has a lot more plot focus, while also veering off a little more, and I feel like that left some of the later parts of Act 1 and the early parts of Act 3 kind of tapering off. Where it's
Yeah.
like, okay, we're just kind of filling in gags here until we can allow ourselves the time to reveal the next big hint. Like the
Sure.
time between when the Red Baron kind of does that first spree of terrorizing the airfield and when Velma finds the weed killer, it's pretty slow going.
I'd agree. The pacing was not fantastic. Charlie, what do you think?
I might have to agree and say it's like maybe a 3.5, maybe a 3.75, but
Okay.
because I do also want to give it a higher rating than our previous one, which is at 3.
Yeah, I was going to say 4. It bumped it up from a 3.5 to a 4 just because of the amount of shenanigans that were involved. I think that bumps up half a point for me. So I'm going to go ahead and average those. So we got 2 3.5s. Charlie, what did you do?
3.75. Just to make it interesting for you.
Okay.
That decimal's going to be ugly, I just know it.
It's going to be ugly. I know that. I'm just going to do some parentheses.
And oh my god, this is going to be our longest episode.
Yes, it will be, but that's okay. Oh god, you have to edit this, Charlie. Good luck, bud.
I do. I can't wait.
Yeah.
All right. Did I do that wrong? That
I
can't
love
be right.
asking myself that question.
I'm
Okay.
not a math person, so I can't help you.
Okay. So yeah, that doesn't really divide evenly. So that's 14.75 out of 20, which is 73%. That doesn't really divide into stars
Okay.
very well.
We're gonna try to do this.
I think the literal decimal would come out to like 3.66?
Divided by 4.
Because it would have to be between 3.5 and 3.75.
3.69.
3.69.
Nice.
Very nice.
Nice.
How did I get that faster than you?
I don't know.
I just added all the numbers and divided by 4.
Oh, divide by 4? Okay, that makes sense. I did it out of 20 because that was the total, like 4 5s.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough. That makes sense.
3.69 out of 5. That is higher than the previous Three Stooges episode.
Yeah, by a good amount. And lastly,
A nice amount, I would say.
Whose side are we on in this episode? Are we on the side of our gang? Are we on the side of this man who's trying to steal this land and buy it for dirt cheap, and also tried to murder people basically with a plane?
No.
I am firmly on the side of Curly
This is
Joe.
definitely the gang is in the right here. This guy is not only destroying people's livelihood, he's literally just destroying crops. People
Yeah.
need food.
People
We're on the
need
side of
food.
Curly Joe, is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
I didn't say
Curly
that.
Joe, okay.
I am on Curly Joe's side.
Charlie, you agree with that?
He's just trying to get a job.
He
I
is!
mean,
Yeah.
Bro's going through it.
So, y'all, I don't know if you've been listening, but most of the time, for whose side are we on for these episodes, we've chosen the guest in some form or fashion, or even characters who are not physically present. Like for
Like
the
in the
Batman
Batman
episode, we
episode.
said we were on Alfred's side.
That's
That is
reasonable.
usually the correct course of action.
Yeah. The only 2 episodes where we had one or more members of the gang, where the first episode where we didn't really know what else to do, and Sandy Dung's Jekyll and Hyde because Daphne got terrorized into oblivion. So that's where we're at with that. Charlie, I think that about wraps it up for everybody. Tim, AJ, do you want people to find you on the internet? And if so, where can they do that?
Yeah,
no,
sure.
do not perceive me.
Okay.
Yeah, he does his best to avoid being seen. But if you want to hear more of Standby Line, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, and you can check us out on Patreon, standbylinepodcast.com.
Yeah, I was on an episode.
Yes, you were. We talked about D23. We had a lot of fun with that one.
Amazing.
Thank you both so much for having us. We had a great time.
Thank you for coming on. We'll be sure
this was a lot of fun.
Again.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Are we ready to say goodbye, Orzo? Do we say goodbye? I have a cat.
There was a
Orzo looks like
blink.
you
I
just
think we're
woke
gonna-
him up from a nap.
No, he was trying to get out the door, and I'm just like, I'm not
Okay.
opening the door just yet. Give me like 2 minutes. I think he says it's time to go.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're gonna go split up and look for clues for our next mystery. Bye.
Bye.
Toodaloo.
See you real soon.
You can follow this podcast socials at Mysteries in the Machine Pod on Instagram. You can send a message to our email, mysteriesinthe@gmail.com. Be sure to give us a rating, a review, or let your friends and followers know how much you love the podcast. That really helps. You can follow me, Charlie, at GreenPixie12 on most platforms. I also have an art Instagram at GreenPixieDraws.
You can find me, Ethan, on Instagram and Threads at ethan.t.hewlin. Our music was written and produced by Jason Hilton. You can find him at Negative Selections on Instagram. Listen, Phineas and Ferb is one of my favorite animated series to ever exist. So,
If it wasn't a Scooby-Doo podcast, it probably would have been a Phineas and Ferb podcast. Let's
That
be
know-
was
real.
very valid.
you know, Charlie, whenever the bits is done,
Listen, that's the one that's the finite podcast. Whenever that one ends, we'll figure out what's next.